Before the stars sleep, and before your dreams begin, let me tell you a story. A story about kindness, about courage, and about love hidden in the most unexpected places. In a faraway kingdom, two girls once took in a stranger, a man everyone else had forgotten. But what if that madman was actually a prince? Close your eyes now, for this is the tale of Xena and the Mad Prince. The market square of Udu was alive with music, haggling, and laughter. The smell of roasted maize and palm oil danced through the air. Goats weaved through busy legs, and children chased each other between baskets of dried fish and piles of kola nuts. But in one dusty corner, where the sun barely reached, sat a man no one noticed, except Xena. He was barefoot, his clothes were torn, his eyes wild, as if chasing stars no one else could see. Some called him mad, others crossed the street to avoid him. But Xena stopped. Her heart tilted sideways. She had seen lostness before, in herself, in the wind, in the silence between old stories. "Princess," she whispered to Adeze, who was admiring a string of coral beads at a nearby stall, "let's not leave him here." Adeze wrinkled her nose and stepped back. "Xena, that man looks dangerous. He hasn't spoken a word since we got here." Xena turned to face her. "He hasn't spoken, but he hasn't hurt anyone either. Just look at his eyes. He's not mad, he's lost." Adeze hesitated. She looked again, and in a flicker of the man's gaze, something tugged at her, a distant sadness she couldn't explain. "All right," she finally sighed, "let's take him home." They wrapped the man in an old wrapper from the basket Adeze had carried and led him back to the palace. Some villagers whispered. The guards stared in disbelief, but no one stopped them. After all, the princess had spoken. They laid him on a mat in a quiet room beside the garden. Xena lit a soft lamp of scented oil. Adeze brought warm water and honey. He didn't speak, he didn't look them in the eyes, but he didn't run either. They gave him time. Xena prepared herbs and mashed roots passed down from her grandmother's scrolls. Adeze wiped his brow and changed his rags with fresh clothes. That night, Xena sat by the window, humming an old lullaby. Adeze leaned against the wall and whispered, "What if he never speaks?" Xena replied gently, "Then we will keep speaking until he hears us." On the second day, the man blinked at the birds dancing outside the window. On the third, he whispered a single word, "Rain." Adeze laughed with surprise. "That's a start." By the fifth day, he was walking around the garden. By the sixth, he was eating pounded yam with his hands like a child rediscovering joy. On the seventh morning, he smiled. "I dreamt of a tree that speaks," he said. Xena smiled back. "That means you're healing." Adeze chuckled, handing him fresh water. "Do trees often talk in your dreams?" He looked at her for a long moment, only when they remember they were once people. Xena found a mark stitched inside one of the rags he had worn, golden thread shaped like a lion, barely visible after years of wear. She showed it to Adeze, and both girls exchanged a look. "Where are you from?" Xena asked gently. "I don't remember," he replied. "Only fragments, rivers, fire, a name, Kamanu." They wrote to the messengers, included the lion emblem, a name, a question. "Do you know this man?" While waiting, Kamanu told them stories, sometimes nonsense, sometimes wonder. He spoke of a kingdom with mountains shaped like drums, of a grandmother who taught him to dance in the rain, of a golden flute he lost in the river. Xena wrote everything down. Adeze listened like one would listen to a myth being born. The villagers began to notice. Some came to watch Kamanu play with the palace children, others brought food. Slowly, the gossip changed from that madman to the one with laughter in his eyes. On the 10th day, a rider arrived from the north, drenched in dust and urgency. He bowed before King Olana and unrolled a royal scroll. Kamanu was not just a stranger. He was the lost prince of the kingdom of Elu. He had vanished 2 rainy seasons ago during a storm, his canoe swept away. His people had mourned him. Now they rejoiced. A royal entourage was already on its way. The girls helped Kamanu dress in the colors of his house, deep blue, gold trims. Zina added a carved bracelet with her name. Adeze braided his hair with gentle fingers. "Come back to visit," Adeze said with a wink. Kamanu smiled. "I promise." Drums thundered days later.
Villagers poured from their homes. Children stood on rooftops. And there, riding a white horse through the gates, was Kamanu, no longer lost, no longer broken, a prince.
He stopped before the palace. He found Zina and Adeze in the crowd. He dismounted and bowed low.
"Thank you,"
He said.
"You did more than heal me. You saw me."
In the great hall, he stood before King Olana. Courtiers watched in silence.
"In my kingdom,
He began.
a prince must go mad before he can find his true queen. Only a woman who shows him love in his madness can become his wife."
He turned to Adeze.
You sat beside my silence. You fed my soul. Will you be my queen?
Adeze was still. The room held its breath. Then she smiled and said yes. Cheers erupted. Zina clapped until her palms tingled. But the moment wasn't over. A second envoy stepped forward. The man unrolled another scroll.
"We bring greetings from the Western realm,"
He said.
"Our prince has heard tales of a girl who hears the wind, who heals even what the world has cast away.
He turned to Zina.
He asks if he may meet you."
Laughter filled the court. King Olana threw his head back with joy. Zina stood quietly, the edges of her mouth curling upward. The girl once called cursed was now whispered of in kingdoms far beyond her own. That night, Zina sat under her favorite tree. The stars twinkled above her, and the leaves rustled like soft applause. She closed her eyes, smiled, and whispered, "Thank you, wind, for bringing him to us." And the wind answered, in the only way it could. Close your eyes now. Let dreams carry you. For in the lands of Udu, love hides in strange places, even in madness.